Plus Picks, episode 41. My name is Dio. This is Dawn. We have a lot of stuff to cover today. We're going to go through the entire NFL bracket for what's going on in the NFL season. We're also going to go through a bunch of other stuff that's happened. We're going to go through every single game in week one. No, we're not. But we're going to go through a lot of them. We're going to go through 7
marquee
games.
matchups, some big ones.
A lot of stuff. So much stuff. Pick of the week. Parlay. I got a couple futures I'm going to throw at you guys.
Sure.
I'm so excited. And it's not because USC is the best team in college football. It's because Dawn's got another fact of the day for me.
So fact of the day, football season start obviously for the NFL. I know for college it started 2 weeks ago. During the bill, and it's something I think that we're going to see come up a little bit during this week one for the NFL, where during the Bills' 4 consecutive Super Bowl runs in the 90s. 1991, so that was their second Super Bowl in a row that they went to. That season's MVP, Thurman Thomas. I don't know. Thurman Thomas.
Yeah.
Forgot his helmet.
Yeah.
That was the record thing. Do you know how bad that impacted the team and how it happened?
They lost the game, right?
They lost the game, obviously speaking. So his pregame ritual to always leave his helmet on the 34-yard line. And when he went out to do the coin toss, it's suspected that one of the defensive players saw the helmet, went, "Oh, this is mine," and just took it and left. Mm-hmm. And so that's what caused the delay when they couldn't find his helmet and the rookie had to come in. Was someone on the team moved it down to the far end of the defensive bench on the very end?
Oh, so they were hiding it from him.
Not on purpose. No, you don't want your team to lose.
Yeah, my bad. It's his own team.
Yeah, his own team to lose. But it caused there's been multiple interviews done afterwards with the equipment manager talking about no, Thomas always keeps his helmet here and he keeps it here, on the left hand side of the table, behind the offensive bench by the waters, or either on the 34-yard line. Those are the only 2 places he ever put it during pre-games. But it completely rattled the game script.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he did. Their best player couldn't play.
Well, he came in eventually.
Yeah,
but the splits were so on average, including playoffs during that entire season. Thomas averaged 24 carries a game, 132 yards and a touchdown.
Great season.
That Super Bowl, he got 14 carries, 40 yards for a touchdown.
I mean, yeah, he didn't get to get into the rhythm. I bet you they were force feeding him. I wasn't alive when the Super Bowl was happening, but I imagine it was good.
No, they cut his carries down by 10.
10?
10 less carries than he averaged.
Because he didn't play the full game.
Yeah. And I'm like that. I just want to talk about that a little bit because I think we're gonna see some of this in week one. We've already seen it a little bit in preseason. We're seeing with fewer starters starting. I think we're gonna see some personnel, some too many men on the field. We're gonna see the rust hit a little bit harder because we've had more starters held out this preseason than ever before.
So you think week one unders? Week one unders is what you're telling me.
I'm not looking over under in terms of that. I think week one penalties.
Week one penalties.
Okay. Week one delay of games. Week one illegal shifts. Some things like that.
A lot of quarterbacks in new situations, new systems
being developed because this affects both sides of the ball. This is offensive and defensive issues.
Stuff like that. That's all I need to hear in order to go. That's an under. That's an under. We'll get there.
Okay.
Great fact of the day. Let's get into predict the future. Today we're going to predict take some of our shots in the NFL. A few topics I came up with, a few outside of the box that not everybody's covering. Of course, we're going to start with who we think is going to make the playoffs. If you've been following along with our division breakdowns, you can kind of piece together what we think is going to happen in the AFC and the NFC. But me and Don are going to lay it down right away. Let's start with the AFC.
Sure.
Don, who's your number 1 seed for the AFC?
Oh, number 1 seed has to be the Chiefs. I
agree.
They've loaded up on the offense. Yes, they lost some key defensive players, but they're the best team for the last few years for a reason.
I think that this is probably not the best Chiefs team, but one of the more complete Chiefs team.
Yeah.
I think their secondary has taken a bit of a loss with one of the best corners in the league leaving, but they have been able to supplement it. There are a lot of players on that defense that are better and don't get enough credit for what they do, like Bolton.
True.
And that offense kind of got better. Like, Hollywood Brown's a good receiver, and I'm expecting good things from him once he comes back from the injury.
Yeah, I was going to say
I think Worthy's going to be okay. I think Juju Smith might be okay. I think Travis Kelce's just going to be the same Travis Kelce as he's been last year.
Yeah.
I think Isaiah Pacheco is going to get a ton of carries, and Samaje Perine is going to be involved in that offense a little.
Yeah, I
they're
think
gonna be good.
he's going to be involved. I think the biggest thing is Rashee Rice taking the second year kind of wide receiver
Yeah.
step forward is going to be a big one.
Huge.
And I think Worthy is a more consistent Tony, which is going to be that's dangerous for this
That's huge.
offense. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. Let's go on to the next team. I'm guessing this is where we start differentiating.
Probably.
Where do you sit at the number 2 seed in the AFC?
Right now at Baltimore, just based
Okay.
on where we went through the wins and losses last
Okay.
time around.
I have the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, no, I could see that. Like
Yeah.
right there, they're within a win or two for me, so it's justifiable.
So I'll start with mine. Miami Dolphins, I have them as the number 2 seed. I have them winning their division. I have them having kind of a home field advantage. The number 2 seed.
They need it.
Correct. Like they'll if they win a game, they get to go into the next game in Miami, and they can't win playoff games if they're not in Miami. That's just how it's going to be.
That's just how it's going to be for this team.
Yeah.
It's, the cold weather is just the detriment completely to this roster.
I think that Dolphins defense is underrated.
Yeah.
I think everyone knows
Losing
everything.
Christian Wilkins is a massive
Yes.
hit for this team, though.
They're going to be in a spot where it's can Tua do it. Mm-hmm. I think he can do enough to get them a playoff win.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough because any team that makes it in the AFC is going to be a playoff and even like a division caliber team.
Probably.
Ravens. We've talked about the Ravens.
Yeah, we don't need to go into too much here. I think it's just a improved running back situation, running back from last year.
Okay. I have the Bengals at the number 3 seed. I obviously have picked the Bengals to win their division.
Yeah.
But I do have the Ravens at the 5 spot, the number 1
Sure.
wild
And
card
I have
team.
the Bengals in the 5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
they're just right
flip-flop there. Well, you have them in 2. Who's your 3 seed?
My 3 seed, I have the Dolphins there.
Okay,
And
so
then
yeah, we're just
I have
flipping.
Houston running in the 4th.
I have the Jaguars in the 4th.
Okay, I have Jags as a wild card.
Give me your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So it's Chiefs for me, then Baltimore, Dolphins, Houston, Bengals, Jags.
And then what's the last team?
And then I have Bills to finish it out.
Gotcha.
I think Bills they're going to just get that last little Superman push from Josh Allen to get over the hump.
So
But I don't think it's going to be a pretty season for them.
we have all the same teams, just a different order. I have the Chiefs, Dolphins, Bengals, Jaguars, which would lead the Jaguars to play the Ravens, the Texans to play the Bengals, and the Jets to play the Dolphins, leaving the Buffalo Bills out for me. I think the Jets have a good enough team last 2 years to get into the playoffs in the AFC. They just didn't have a quarterback. They literally had the worst quarterback play in the entire league.
Yeah.
And this is all it takes.
No, we'll get into the Jets a little bit
Yeah.
more and some game breakdowns.
Oh, we're gonna talk about the Jets later.
Oh, yeah.
NFC breakdown. I think we're gonna be vastly different on
The
this.
NFC scares me
You take
when
your
it comes
shot
to
in the
these.
NFC.
You take your shot because we can see the Commanders suddenly make a wild card.
All right, so me and you kind of.
I don't have them.
Yeah, but me
I'm
and you
saying
both
like they
kinda, like-
exchange hands so quickly in the NFC.
Let's start with the number 1 seed. Don, who's your number 1 seed?
Eagles.
I have the Eagles.
Yeah.
Cool. So you're on the Eagles train with me.
I'm on the Eagles train because I'm believing this offense. I believe that they've made the correction that they needed at coordinator so they don't stagnate like they did last
Offense
season.
and defense. I like Vic Fangio and I like Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
My number 2 seed's the Falcons.
Okay, I have the 49ers.
Okay. I have the 49ers as my 5th seed. I think the Falcons have one of the easiest schedules in the league.
Yes.
I think their defense is really, really good.
Very young, very explosive talents on
And
there.
they're probably in the worst division in football.
I still don't see them clearing 10 wins for me.
Really?
And it's just because they're gonna play these like randomly ugly games like they do in
Yeah.
the South.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't surprise me if they're there.
Okay. Don, who's your 3 seed?
My 3 seed is I have the Lions.
You have the Lions.
Yes, I have the Lions taking that division. I do have
the 6 seed.
Yeah, you have Green Bay, I believe.
I have
taking
Green
that.
Bay, yes.
I just have them flipped.
And then I have the Rams winning their division instead of the Niners.
And I have the Niners and then the Rams in the 5.
Okay. So for you, it's Eagles, and then what's the 2?
Eagles, 49ers,
49ers.
and then Lions, Falcons, and then I have Rams and Rams, Packers, Cowboys.
Rams, Packers, Cowboys. We have the
And
exact same teams.
Yeah,
I
it's
see
just reordered.
I have the Bears barely missing.
I think the Bears are going to show flashes. I think it's going to take a few weeks for Caleb to get into a rhythm at the pro level.
Yeah.
And I think those kind of early games are what's going to cost them.
I think the
end.
Bears and the Commanders are going to be knocking on the door at the end.
Oh,
of the
without a
year.
doubt. They're at the end of the year, they're going to be flirting with the wild card.
Don, let's go into the first coach we think might get fired. Or not the first, but a coach that we think will be fired at the end of this year.
So I'm going to continue my crusade against Mike Tomlin.
I knew you were going to do this.
No, I know.
He just extended his contract. You know that, right?
Yes.
They're prepared, even with a losing season, to keep him.
I know, and it doesn't make sense to me, and I think the fans at the end of the season are going to start calling for his head. They have, under him, 8-10 playoff record.
Yeah, they haven't won a playoff game since 2017.
2016. And the cores that they've put together since 2016.
Pretty good.
And if he can't figure this team out, like they had Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown was their last win. Mm-hmm. After that, they ran it back. Couldn't get a win. 2018, they switched Lev Bell for James Conner.
Yeah.
Couldn't get it done. 2019, Ben, Juju, and Deontay Johnson. Couldn't get it done. 2021, Ben, Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris. Couldn't get it done.
They still get into the playoffs.
Not every season. They flirt with it. They flirt with it because they maintain 500.
They're there.
They're there, but they can't. They're stuck in mediocrity.
They've had bad quarterback play since 2019. They've had bad quarterback play since
I would say 2020, Ben, was the start of the fall off, yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I think
it was the start of the slide.
Since 2019, Big Ben was not the same.
Yeah.
And they've had to lie to themselves about one of the worst quarterback drafts ever, and they had to tell themselves, all right, Kenny Pickett will be our guy, when he should have never been a first-round pick.
He should have not been a first round.
He was a backup the entire time, if that. And they had to go out there, and he still won games. I don't know. I know you're not super high on Russ. I still think they can win games. I think they're going to be knocking on the door in the AFC for playoffs.
And because of that, I think that I have Tomlin. I think he's in the hot seat. But Mike McCarthy is the guy who's truly gone.
Mike McCarthy is a huge name for if you don't win at least one playoff game,
you're gone.
You're out of Dallas. I have two completely different ones.
Sure.
If you asked me, Dio, gun your head, who's the head coach that will be fired this year? Mm-hmm. It's Dennis Allen from the New Orleans Saints.
And I don't see that.
Know, and me and you are...
Yes, we're completely different on this one. And I don't
The way you feel about that is how I feel about Mike Tomlin.
But I think the difference is I don't think Dennis Allen's a good head coach.
I don't think he's a good head coach either.
I don't... I think
Mike Tomlin's a very good head coach.
Yeah, so that's where we're big different. I just think the organization, the way that the GMs talked about, and the way the owners talked about Dennis Allen, this is their guy. I don't know what he has done to ingratiate himself into this front office the way he has, but they have so much faith and belief in him. I don't understand how. This is Arthur Smith early season with the Falcons, where the fans, the players, none of them liked him, but the ownership was like, "This is our guy. He's a mastermind." No, it's not. He's not it. He's not the answer.
I think that they're ready to end it.
I think if they collapse, the bottom falls out completely.
I think
they give them one more year to ride through the cap issues.
Contracts are kind of ending here for the Saints.
Yeah.
They can kind of get their way out of these contracts a little bit next year. They just eat it this year, tank, reset the entire organization for the first time since Drew Brees left. They have really been trying to keep the exact same team since Drew Brees has been gone, and he left in 2019.
No, they've tried to re-sign the core. They have done soft rebuilds.
Yeah.
They haven't gone full shutdown.
Another one I have for head coach to be fired.
Sure.
This one might be a little bit of a long shot. I think Antonio Pierce could be fired at the end of this year. I think if the Raiders don't win and get into the playoffs, which me and you both don't think that they're getting in the playoffs,
I don't think they're there yet.
Productive years. The fans are the only reason why Antonio Pierce has a job. They were so vocal about it. The ownership didn't want him. And if they can show that he is not on the same track, it's very easy for Raider fans to be like, well, look at this shiny new toy, whether it's Kellen Moore or another head coach that pops up out of somewhere, or maybe Cliff Kingsbury revives Jaden Daniels, and all of a sudden he's a new head coach in Las Vegas. I
don't want that for Las Vegas fans,
but it's something that can absolutely happen.
Without a doubt, it's in the realm of possibilities. I just don't think Cliff Kingsbury is going to be a good head coach at the NFL level anymore. I think his peak is coordinator, which is fine. I think he will be a good coordinator.
I think his peak is good college coach.
Yeah, good. That feels right.
I would love to see him in Washington.
That'd be interesting. That would be very interesting for him.
Most improved player of the NFL season. We're both going to take shots here.
Yes.
I'm guessing you went quarterback too.
So, to me, if we're talking pure improvement, we see
like the NBA trophy.
Yeah, if we see a big jump from last season production to this season production, I'm taking Kyle Pitts.
I love that pick,
because
Don.
it feels like this is the year that he could finally live up to that rookie potential again.
Mm-hmm.
We know the talent is there. Like, he is younger than when Travis Kelce had his first 1,000-yard season. He is big, physical. It can play anywhere on the offense. I think he's going to become Kirk Cousins' best friend. Now, if we're talking,
Drake London.
Drake London's there, but Drake London will do well. And we've seen Kirk support 2 top receivers before. He did with Diggs and Thielen. He's done it with Jefferson and Diggs.
Yeah, he did with Hawkinson and Jefferson last year.
It's not a concern that he's there. Bijan will feast the way he feasts. I think that Pitts, though, will become a problem by the end of the season.
Oh, yeah.
And we see him crack 1,000 yards again.
No one's ever said, like, Kyle Pitts doesn't have the talent. It was more of like... there's nothing for him to be there. Like, no one schemed it up.
No.
There's never been a coach. Their last quarterback on that team just got cut by the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Like, they weren't doing good.
They were not.
My most improved player, I have 2 of them. One, easy answer, Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a better player this year than he was last year. I think he's going to break the 30 touchdown
I think a big reason for that is the injury that Lawrence had. Playing on a sprained ankle is wild.
Yeah, I think they had a couple injuries with Etienne going down a little bit. Offensive line was disastrous. The Jaguars, and I know this might be a crazy thing to say, this might be the best roster they've ever had in their entire franchise history.
I think it's the most balanced and complete roster. Because, if you're going by peak, Jacksonville was the best.
Yeah, but their offense was not great. Shout out to Blake Bortles.
Yeah, there was no one to support on the offensive side. This feels like a rebuilt defense that could finally balance out so they're not having to shoot out every game.
And there's a little hint for later. Another breakout player for me, and you could say he's already kind of broken out. I think this player steps into a superstar role. I think you see this guy's name next to the other premier players at his position, and that's Will Anderson from the Texans. I think Emerson Griffin's right next to him. Is it Emerson Griffin?
I think so.
That they signed from the Vikings?
Danielle Hunter?
Danielle Hunter. I think Danielle Hunter on the other side is going to open up a lot more one-on-ones. Will Anderson already had a great rookie year.
Yeah.
I think he has the ability this year to have a 15-sack season, and I think he's right there next to T.J. Watt, the Micah Parsons, the
Myles Garrett.
I'm not going to say the other guy's name because the Raider fans will get angry if I don't, so I won't. I think he's in that echelon of elite pass rushers by the end of this year. I think he's
I can see him in that realm.
Yeah. Let's go with next up award.
Sure.
This is the next up team for us.
Okay.
This is for the team that is going to show flashes during the regular season, but not make playoffs and be like the offseason darling next year.
I think for me, this is the Chargers. Because
I like that, Don. That's a great pick.
Because, they're taking a lot of risk right now with the brand new schemes on offense and defense coming in.
It's almost like this whole team gets a rookie year.
It feels like a rookie season. Like, you have Herbert coming back from a Liz Frank injury.
Yeah.
Last I saw, he's still in his boot.
Yeah, I'm not super excited to see what I really don't want him to play for like 6 weeks.
Right, like give him some time to fully heal, but he's tough, so he's going to just try to power through.
He's already got his money. I would just be like, hey, buddy, let's not make this worse than it has to be.
Yeah, they have too many questions at receivers from receiving core for me. Questions at running back. I like Gus. I like JK. I think that they can be a dynamic tandem. Mm-hmm. Health is the biggest concern for this roster right now, and I think that if things go sideways, everyone's going to be excited on what they do next year.
I like that.
Because we're going to see flashes. We're going to see the potential of what this team can be.
I could have gone 2 ways. Mm-hmm. There's 2 ways to take this question of what team do you think is going to be the offseason darling next year. You can say the Bears. They're already kind of one right now.
I think they are right now.
The Commanders, they're going to show flashes this year. And going into next year, they're going to have all kinds of hype because they're going to add through the draft. They're probably going to make a big swing somewhere.
Yeah.
No. I went somewhere else.
Sure.
I went to Denver. And I said, I think the Denver Broncos at the end of this year are going to show flashes that give people excitement and wild card energy next year.
I've seen a lot of Broncos fans already praising Bo Nix as a savior of the franchise right now.
That they're blowing up his spot too much.
They're blowing him up a lot.
And look, I'm going to have a talk with you, Denver Bronco fans. I've been in the Bo Nix category. I love Auburn. It's because I love Cam Newton. I'm a closeted Auburn fan. If you put a gun to my head, I am a SEC stan. I like them, and my SEC team is Auburn. I love them. USC fan, though. Don't get it twisted. I've watched Bo Nix play for 4 years in college. I watched him in Oregon. Everybody likes Oregon. They're fun. They're flashy.
Yeah.
You are going to get one of the best quarterbacks you've ever seen for about 3 seconds, for about 4 plays a game. You're going to be like, this guy is insane.
He has it.
There's going to be like 4 times a game where you're like, this is the worst player I've ever seen. Just hold on, lock in. I think Sean Payton has something cooking here. I really do like the weapons they've surrounded. I know a lot of people don't love it. I like Greg Dulcich. I like Sutton. I like McLaughlin and Javonte Williams. This is like a fun team. I think their offensive lines can be a little okay.
Yeah.
That defense can be good next year.
They can be. I'm more wanting to see how this all meshes and comes together because a lot of these play styles don't fully flesh out together. Like Bo Nix's quarterbacking style and how his passing charts are.
Yeah.
Do not mesh well with Sutton's more big body down the field. And it'd be Dulcich is going. I think Dulcich is going to shine this season as being the check down guy. I'm curious on how this blends.
You've been big on the Cam Sutton, or is it Cam Sutton? Cameron Sutton? Cam Sutton. Yeah. You've been saying how he's not going to be Cortland.
That took me a minute too.
Dang. You've been saying how he's not going to be this star. I think
he'll be good. I think he's going to be good.
I think he's good. I think he's one of the most underrated receivers in the league.
Yeah, no, he has been for most of his career. I just think he's the 15 yards down the field, big body. I'm going to jump ball it. I'm going to out muscle a corner, and that's not really Bo Nix's style to pass into it as often. I hope he develops. I hope he develops into being that kind of passer.
Can't watch team of the year. This is going to be the team that we think is going to be so bad and so boring. Whether they're bad or good, they're just going to be so boring that you don't even want to watch their games. Like they're on a Thursday night game and you're like,
why?
I'm going to go to dinner with my girlfriend. I'm going to give her this night.
Yeah.
And as a football guy, I'm saying I want to watch every Thursday night football. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices for the greater good.
And this is the sacrifice team.
If this team's on TV, a primetime game, you kind of look at your friends and be like, Monday night's not going to be that great.
For me, it's the Giants. I don't think that they're going to be hilariously bad. But I think
they're going to be memeable.
I think they're going to be memeable. But I can watch this team through memes. That's where my mindset is with this roster is there's the O-line is still turnstile.
Yeah.
Danny Dimes is coming back from his ACL tear. They got rid of the best check down guy escape route Danny had in Saquon. I think Neighbors will be fun to watch. I think he's going to be dynamic.
Defensive line's really good.
The D-line's okay, but if the offense is giving up 6 punts a game and 2 turnovers,
it's going to be a punt fest sometimes.
It's going to be a punt fest, and it's not going to be because of great defensive play by the other team. It's going to be offensive ineptitude.
You're going to love my answer. I'm picking the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're going to win games, but they're going to be these 13-7 games where you're just like, why did I just watch this game?
Yeah.
Why did I just watch Najee Harris average 2.1 yards a carry?
It's going to be rough.
Why did Russ complete 6 passes? How did they win? How did they beat the Bengals right now?
And it's just good because
the Bengals have 1 loss and now they have 2. Like, it's crazy.
And the Steelers just shut down on defense. But it's not like I would still watch a little bit for TJ Watt just to see it is
like his excellent. Like, you're like, all right, what's TJ going to do?
That's
tonight?
all I care about when a Steeler game's on.
What bone is he going to break on national TV and still get a sack?
Dude, that Watt family is something else.
What is George Pickens going to do on the sideline that gets people talking for the next 5 days? Maybe they're not that boring. No, because you know what? It's the same recipe.
Yes.
And I'm kind of sick of watching it.
We've just rotated characters in a soap opera.
Correct. And it's the same show, and I'm kind of getting sick of the show, but all I want from the Steelers is 20 points a game. That's all. If you can consistently get 20, 21, I'm watching your team and I'm on there. I just don't think you're going to do that every week.
No, and I'd be fine. On the flip side, I'd be fine with the 7-3 game if that means the defense is playing out of their mind on both sides.
I wouldn't. I'd be furious because I bet the over in that game for sure. I bet the over in that game.
True, you would.
I was like, it was 38. We have to bet the over, and then it's like 22.
Yeah, at a good day.
Yeah, it's crazy. Defensive player of the year, Don, take your shot.
I think Micah Parsons is the chalk answer. He's arguably the best defensive player in the NFL right now.
He's my favorite defensive end in the league.
I'm taking Max Crosby, though.
You scumbag.
I think with the addition of Christian Wilkins onto this team, it's going to get a lot of pressure off of Crosby. I think Crosby is going to show out this season. They've added some defensive pieces here that get me pretty excited. They brought in Jonah Leilua.
Yeah.
And then they brought back Holmes. I think this defensive line is a little bit more bolstered.
They're very good.
I think they're good, and that just means Crosby gets to just take more free shots. He doesn't have to be Superman.
I already talked about my guy. I'm taking Will Anderson plus 3,000.
Sure.
I already put the bet in. Put $50 on it. That's 1,500 return. It is.
That's a big swing, but I'm not mad at it.
It's a good. Look. I told you guys last week. I'm taking my big swings. I told you take Miller Moss for Heisman, and look at this guy now. His odds literally went from 3,500 last week to 1,200 this week.
That's a good cash out value.
Insane. Jordan Milroe, get your ticket now before it goes bad. He's going to finish at least top 3.
Sure.
And what I'm saying with Will Anderson is I'm there too. It's plus 3,000. He's a very good defensive end. If they're a winning team like everyone thinks the Texans are going to be, guess what? He's going to be in primetime games. He's going to be showing out. He's going to make big plays. That's what gets you Defensive Player of the Year.
Without a doubt.
Love a young defensive end.
Yep.
NFL MVP. Who's your prediction for NFL MVP this year, Don?
So I went into it a little bit last week. I think Goff is my outside dark horse kind of run at this.
The dome boy himself?
Exactly.
Loves domes.
Like he just lives in the dome. He has the best season catered to his play style I think any quarterback has had in the last 5 years. On the flip side, I am also sprinkling with Dak Prescott here. I think Dak is going to... Dak finished second in voting last year. He is playing on a contract year. I think he needs to show out if he's going to get his yacht paid for the way he wants.
I am not. I am so opposed to what you just said. It's crazy.
I know. I went Raiders and Cowboys back to back.
I was thinking of fun T-shirts we can make, like Jared Goff loves getting domed up. But, like, you're over here talking about Dak Prescott. Now I have to pretend like he matters. He doesn't. I think he's going to have one of his worst years this year.
It'd be interesting to see.
Not worst. Mediocre years.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the realm. I'm just taking some deep shot guys.
I'm picking another NFC quarterback. I'm taking Jalen Hurts MVP odds. That one's a little chalky.
Sure.
Only plus 1,500. I already put the bet in for that.
Not bad.
I think Jalen Hurts, as I've said all offseason, I think the Eagles can be great. I think the Eagles can be very special. I think there's every weapon around him. I think Jahan Dotson's going to be good.
I think Dawson will be valuable. We've seen it where if Smith or Brown is not available for a game or they go down mid-game, this offense is able to just keep rolling. Dotson being the speedster that he is, I think will just fill in real nice.
I don't even have to go that deep into it. I just know how he wins trades. Every time he trades for a player, that player becomes an immediate impact player for the Eagles.
True. Very
so I'm
true.
like, get ready to... I've convinced myself that they might have three 1,000-yard receivers on this team. That's
that feels a little high, but I could see where your mindset is.
I can feel it. It's just like I'm like Saquon probably gonna have like 400, and I was like, well, Jahan's gonna get close to it. I think Jahan's gonna get like 8.
6 to 8 would be nice.
I think Devontae and AJ Brown, besides injury, are definitely gonna get it.
Yeah,
I'm like, and if Jalen Hurts gets in the end zone 7.5 times, that's where his line's at. If he hits the over, he's gonna have more than 30 passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's gonna have a winning record, even if he doesn't get to the Super Bowl.
That doesn't matter.
Good team. Don, I know I didn't ask you to prepare this, but give me your Super Bowl winner. If outside of the Ravens, because of course you're going to say the Ravens are going to win.
I'm not taking the homer pick here. I mean,
but I am. I'm picking the Ravens.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
again.
The chaos part of me wants to see the world burn and say Chiefs for 3, which I think would be we would see the NFL shut down almost. I like the idea of the Lions doing a storybook ending, but I think this is the Eagles' time. The Eagles roster just looks too intimidating for me. I have 2. Sure.
I always take 2 futures. These are the 2 I'm taking.
Okay.
I'm taking the Ravens again.
Okay.
I think the Ravens have a really good roster. I understand that I took them to not win their division. I think they're still going to be good in the playoffs.
They play good in the wild card games.
I think they're going to lay off the gas, and the second that they're in the playoffs, get ready to get full throttled. I think the Ravens are a good team this year. And I love the Rams. I think the Rams might... Every time Sean McVay has an above-average roster, he gets to the Super Bowl.
This team performs very well.
He knows how to get to a Super Bowl. He's done it twice. I think we're about to get a little mini Rams dynasty where in a few years we're going to look back and be like, he kind of got to 3 Super Bowls in like 10 years. He's a very good coach.
Yeah, no,
when the team's not good, he somehow finds way. We thought the Rams were going to be awful last year.
And they still found a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be good this year.
And with Stafford being a little bit healthier, if Kupp is able to have a fully healthy season,
he's going to be good.
I think he's going to be a dominant.
I think they're going to have a dominant 1-2 punch in Williams and Corum. I think they're going to be really good. I think they sneaky have the best offensive line in football. I think their offensive line is great. Defensive line, it's going to come out to those rookies.
Yeah, it's gonna take a few weeks to get into place there.
Let's get into bust of the week. I have 2. Sure. I'm going to go with one. You go with one, and then we'll come back to me.
Okay.
My first one is people that are sad that summer is ending. That's my bust of the week. I'm tired of it. I've been hearing nonstop that people are like, my brat summer's over. Rat summer's over. It's over. Like, all I'm doing all summer is just sitting there, and I'm like, I'm waiting for football season to start. I'm like waiting for September to come. I'm like just sitting here like, forget this heat wave. Let's get kickoff started now. The second summer ends, I'm electric. And the paradigm shift that's happened to me since leaving school to now.
Yeah.
Summer might be my least favorite like part of the year now. I don't like it anymore.
Okay.
Give me September and October every time over July and August. I stand by that. That's my bust of the week. All the people that are complaining about summer ending.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
All right. For me, I'm taking the Green Bay Packers. There's been some roster shifts that they made at the end of this.
Taking the entire Green Bay Packers?
Well, mainly the ownership and executives there. Because,
all the people of Green Bay?
Well, the GM.
Yeah, I know.
Because they cut all their backup quarterbacks and all their kickers.
Yeah.
Right at the cut down deadline, which is like you just openly saying we made mistakes and we carried them way too long.
Yeah.
And like we have no faith in these guys. Went and just signed a kicker off the street like to run this right now. I'm like, what is this organization doing with these personnel decisions?
Maybe people were saying what they were saying about this draft is true. Maybe it wasn't as deep as people wanted it to be because the Colts also cut their last 3 draft picks as well. And a lot of teams have cut their last few draft picks and even like second or there's a couple 4th round picks that got cut this year, which is like very abnormal.
To me, it's not that it's not a deep draft at all. But the idea that you're cutting you're cutting 2 kickers and I believe it was 1 or 2 quarterbacks as well.
Yeah.
And then now you're having to bring in guys at the last second.
Yeah.
That's not you being able to analyze and scout your players well at that point.
My real bust of the week is going to be the LSU Bengal Tigers, specifically Brian Kelly. They played a fantastic game on Sunday.
That was a good one. Awesome. It was close.
Love the Trojans. Fight on. Miller Moss, ice in his veins, a couple questionable calls going towards USC. I can admit that. I'm big enough a man. But Brian Kelly, you got to stop doing what you're doing over there in LSU. It worked for you in Notre Dame because, like, Notre Dame's expectations aren't championships no matter what they tell you. It's like 10 wins and lose 2 games to, like, Stanford and, Clemson or whatever. It's different at LSU. If you're not competing for a national championship by your 3rd or 4th year there in the program, you're failing.
Yeah.
And as good as a coach you are failing. You should have beaten USC. You should be beating most of these teams. You should be where Georgia's at. You are the most exciting college football team in all of college football. And Brian Kelly is single-handedly making them boring. And I don't like that.
Sure.
Brian Kelly also called out a few people on his own team saying his quarterback, who played really well, did not play as well as the other quarterback, Miller Moss. Well, yeah, he's a Heisman candidate. I told you guys he was going to be a Heisman candidate. But, like, he played very well.
That's how you lose a locker room pretty quickly.
He was banging on the table. He's like, I don't know why we were quitting. It felt like we were up. This entire team was losing their energy. Well, hey, buddy, that's your literal job.
Yeah, you're the coach.
Keep the troops inspired throughout the game.
Yeah, you're the general out there.
Buckle it up. I expect better from LSU. I want you guys to make it in the playoffs. Once again, you guys are the most fun college football team in all of college. When I think of college football, I do think of LSU. They're fun.
Typically.
They are the fun team. Stop being weird.
I think it's interesting that just after that one loss, immediately there's rumors of Kelly on the hot seat.
I mean, there was always going to be because it's LSU.
Yeah, it's LSU. They expect a certain level.
I'll tell you right now, if Alabama loses 3 games, they could cut their head coach year 1. If he loses 4 games,
Gone.
done.
Cooked.
Done. Year 1, done. And he made a natty last year. It's crazy. Let's play ball, Don.
Sure.
Play ball. This is our new segment. We're going to go through 7 games, all the primetime games and a few of our favorite games on the slate, and we're going to give you a bet how we feel like the game's going to go. Let's start with the season opener. Don, you have any skin in this game?
Yeah.
Chiefs versus Ravens?
So we're seeing a 46.5 over-under right here with a -2.5 in favor of the Chiefs. I like the over in this one. It's a little bit of questionable defense to the Chiefs, losing some key pieces for
What's
me.
The over?
46.5. I think both of these are explosive offenses. They're going to be able to put up points.
I think both defenses are good.
I think both defenses are good, but I think that they're going to take a few weeks to get to that. Chiefs lost a few key guys. That's without a doubt, like missing Gay.
Yeah.
It's just you're missing some core guys. Bringing in a new defensive coordinator for the Ravens. I think our 12-plus turnover differential from last season, where we led the league, may not hit to that peak like we had last year. It's hard to replicate that. I think that this is going to be a just random broken plays kind of game.
I think the Chiefs are going to come out with blood on their hands. I think the Ravens have a certain taste in their mouth from how they went last game.
Yes, that was a gross game.
I think Lamar's on a mission. Again.
Yeah.
I think this coaching staff really wants to show the world what they can do. I'm taking the Ravens +3.
Sure.
I think giving the Ravens 3 is insane.
That's a lot.
This game should really be a pick-em at 1.5. But I think that's Vegas saying, you guys will bet against Patrick Mahomes. You guys will do it anytime. Remember when I told you we're not going to bet against Patrick Mahomes last year?
Yeah. And we did.
I didn't.
No, I did.
We did. But I'm going to do it again.
Sure. And some other ones I like just prop-wise. I think Henry for a TD is pretty good.
That can't be plus money.
No, it's minus money, but it's like -150, -200.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not terrible. And then one I like is Mahomes. Mahomes over 225 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. The Ravens have one of the best run-stopping defensive lines in the league.
Yeah.
They stifle the run. This game, if the Chiefs are going to keep up, they're going to have to pass the ball.
Yeah.
It's going to be on Mahomes' arm, so 225 and 2 seems very reasonable for his normal line. But the Chiefs do this thing
where they run the ball through the air. Well, they'll just do like 6-yard dump-offs, and how they run the ball.
I was like, those still count for yards and touchdowns.
No, I get you. And now they have explosive athletes that can take it. Packers-Eagles. That's on the Friday night game. Our very first Friday night game.
In Brazil.
This is kind of like, what are we doing here?
I'm not a big fan of the idea.
I'm not a fan of it at all.
No, I'm not. I like the Thursday, Sunday, Monday, an occasional Tuesday if you get some other stuff.
Football, though.
Which is interesting.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah, 5 straight days of football.
Yeah.
Tuesday's going to hit me hard. I'm going to be sitting here on the show on next Tuesday and just be like, man, I really wish we had a game. I'm going to be with withdrawals. Next week's my withdrawal episode. Yeah.
Sure.
I have the Eagles -2.5.
I'm not mad at that. It's the third highest. It's tied for the third highest over-under this week of 48.5. I think what's being overlooked is the quality of defensive players on both ends.
Very good defenses.
For the Eagles, like my big guy that I'm liking a lot is Jalen Carter. 33 total tackles, 8 for a loss, and 6 sacks last season in his rookie year.
Yeah.
I think he's just going to step up for this D-line. And then the Packers twin of Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark, 16.5 sacks between the two of them. I think they're going to keep the motor running. We have 88 tackles between them. I'm leaning the under on this. I think the overline crept up a little too high.
I agree.
There's too high of quality defenses here. I'm taking under 48.5.
I don't think the Packers do well in this game. I think this game is one of the more boring games we get. I think this is a clear 27-10 game from Philly.
I could see it like that. Yeah, it's going to be more ground game, and it's going to be like running through the air.
I think the Eagles are going to be like, let's show off our new shiny toys. Defense doesn't really travel well compared to what we saw in like the New Mexico game. It's really hard to go down there and win games, and now they're traveling even further. I think defense is going to be really hard to continue. I still like the under. It's just I'm going to bet on the team that has better weapons,
Sure,
and a more consistent quarterback. Colts, Texans. The Colts haven't won a season opener in 10 years.
no, they've lost 9 out of the 10.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, we've lost 9 in a row.
Yeah, 9 in a row now.
Yes, this is for the.
This
10th.
is for the 10.
As a Colts fan, I'm fully prepared to lose 10 straight years.
Ooh.
I'm fully mentally ready. Here's the thing, though. I think we're gonna win this game. I think we're gonna win this game. And I've said a lot of good things about the Texans.
Sure.
I've continuously said I think Will Anderson's good.
Yeah.
I've continually said I don't think the Colts are going to be good. How the season ended for the Colts last year was they had the Texans dead to right, and they dropped the ball.
Yeah, they did.
They're ready to go. They've been looking at this game. They've been talking about this game. They're locked in. The Texans kind of looking over the rearview mirror. They're kind of like, we're not really worried about the Colts. We got other things to worry about. We're now in the upper echelon of the AFC because that's how they feel. Mm-hmm. They're in Super Bowl or bust now. They are. The Texans are in Super Bowl or bust. I think the Colts know how to beat these Super Bowl teams.
Sure.
And then they lose to like Titans. That's what they do.
See, for me, I'm taking Houston here minus 2.5.
I knew you wouldn't pick a line out of any other game until it got to this one.
I picked lines on everything else.
You did not pick any straight lines.
Oh no, well it's more since 2021. Houston is 4-0, or the away team in this matchup is 4-0-1 in the straight up. Mm-hmm. The away team typically wins these games. I don't know what's your division. Anybody could beat anybody. I feel in a big way.
The division's weird.
The division's very weird. I'm leaning Texans a little bit just because it's Richardson's re-debut. I don't know what we're going to see out of him for this. I think he is healthy, but I'm just leaning the more consistent, glued-in roster who had almost all of last season to develop versus bringing in the new guy again.
I think this is also a sneaky over game.
Yeah,
I think you can get a CJ Stroud 3-4 touchdown game.
It's 48.5 right now.
Yeah,
tied for the third highest with the Eagles-Packers.
I think if it gets down 1 point, I would take it.
You take it at 48 or 47.5?
47.5.
Okay,
I would slam it.
Yeah, you can tease it.
I'm taking the Colts plus 2.5, and I'll probably sprinkle money line.
Sure.
Jaguars Dolphins. Don. Jaguars Dolphins.
Second highest over under this week with 49 points.
I'm so excited for this game.
This is going to be an interesting one.
This is a red zone game where I'm going to have it on my other TV, and I'm going to watch that one solo. I'm so excited for this game because all the hype I've been giving the Jaguars, and I like the Dolphins too. I think these are two upper echelon AFC teams.
No, I think they are. For me, it's going to be up to Ryan Nielsen's new defensive scheme. He's bringing in the 4-3, changing it from the 3-4 from last season. The big thing he's emphasized, and we've seen in training camp, is the corners want to press.
Yeah.
And that is either going to be...
the hands on you.
Yeah, they want to get the hand, which is either going to be brilliant against a team like the Dolphins or the death of your entire defense. Mm-hmm. There's no in between because Waddle and Hill are too fast. You miss that initial press, and they're going to burn your entire team.
I think the Dolphins have plays they're excited that Mike McDaniel's been cooking up, ready to go for this game. And I think the Jaguars want to prove the world. I'm taking the over in this game, 49.5. I don't care that it's so high. Yeah. I think this is the highest scoring game of the week.
I think I'm taking the over as well.
I love it. We're locked in together.
Jags in the last 5 week 1 openers have hit the over in their games.
Didn't know that.
And it also, I think the Dolphins do cover here with 2.5, mainly because I was reading, going into some reports on this one. Beat reporter Gus Lode for the Jags came out Monday and said, it is still not confirmed who's play calling for the offense for the Jags.
I think it's going to be Doug Peterson.
I think it might be Doug Peterson, but the fact that it hasn't been confirmed, it hasn't been announced, and we're just a couple days from kickoff.
I think they're doing that on purpose.
I don't like when coaches get that cute. And these mind games do not make sense. Same rules as quarterback. If you have 2, that means you have 0. If you're still not being able to play call and like go forward and being assertive and this is our team, that means you're questioning something about this team.
I kind of agree with you on that. That kind of made me a little scared. Didn't know about that. Didn't know about that report.
I think I like the over because I think the Dolphins could carry for the most part. Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those weird little buried ones the beat reporters like tag on at the last of a paragraph.
Cowboys, Browns. Did you freak out when you saw this line?
Yeah, second lowest over under 41, and then Browns are the favorite somehow.
Yeah, I think
I found the matchup why.
Broke my brain.
I think I found the matchup why.
Why?
If we're digging into what we're seeing offensive defensive wise, rookie left tackle Tyler Guyton for the Cowboys is facing Myles Garrett one-on-one.
That's going to be dangerous.
I think that's the swing in Vegas's mind is Garrett's going to end up with like 2 sacks.
I get that, and he probably will.
It's a prop I'm taking. That's the matchup I think is going to be there, but I don't see a world where CeeDee doesn't get 100 yards and a touchdown in this game.
They're just going to slide Zach Martin over and give the rookie some help.
That's what I'm hoping for. And I don't get where this line's going because I don't think Watson's going to be competent.
Me neither. That's why I'm like,
there's so many questions
I know what
on
I'm getting from Dak.
Yeah, we know what we're getting from Dak. We know what we're getting from CeeDee, even Brandon Cooks. We know what we have in this.
Well, I don't know what the running is going to be. I don't know. I
hope Rico
Dowdle is going to be the guy, but I've seen Rico Dowdle play, and I know Rico Dowdle's abilities.
So Zeke is still depth chart wise RB1.
Zeke might rush for all the touchdowns on this team.
I think that's the best move.
Yeah.
Get Zeke on the 4-yard line, let him power it in. Get Rico between the 20s. For me, Zeke looked cooked last season. No. Like, not even just visually. 43rd out of 48 running backs with over 100 carries in terms of yards per carry.
He was bad.
3.5 yards per carry.
Yeah.
Do you know which running back, which the league said not that good, even did better?
Who?
Joshua Kelly on the Chargers.
Josh Kelly outran Zeke Elliott. Who would I rather have going into this year?
Josh into this
Kelly
year.
Or Ezekiel Elliott. I'd probably still rather have Ezekiel Elliott. He's really good at pass blocking.
He's good at pass blocking. That's all he has.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's gross.
He's a nice flare out for 2 yards. He's
and
money
I don't
for
want that. And Tyler Algier had better.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
Tyler Algier on the Cowboys would be like a top 15 running back in fantasy football. People would be salivating at Tyler
That'd
Algier.
be amazing to have him lined up there. I think Rico is going to be that kind of swing pass Gibson light, which will be a lot of fun to see. I hope he has flashes to take over.
Part of me still feels like Deuce Vaughn's shadow is going to come out of Mordor, and we're going to be like, oh, it's Deuce Vaughn. Huh. Who knew?
Who knew?
Yeah. I'm taking the Cowboys plus 2.5. It's too juicy.
It feels
hook, line,
good.
and seeker. I will let Vegas take me for a ride, and I will be part of the public in this.
Yeah, I'm reading the
Rams,
dogs.
Lions. I like the Lions this year, but I see holes in this team that I don't feel the rest of the public or the world sees. I love the Rams this year.
Yeah.
You're giving me 3.5? I know the Lions beat them last time. I will take the other team. I'm taking the Rams.
Highest over under split 50.5 this for this game.
As it probably should be.
As it should be. I think the Lions for me have a slight edge just due to the idea that the D line for the Rams may take a little bit with the rookies.
Yeah.
I think Montgomery and Gibbs being announced as fully healthy will be an interesting matchup to test them out. I'm leaning them, but I don't really like it. I'm more feeling I'm taking Kupp for a touchdown, and I'm taking Amon-Ra for a touchdown here. This is one of those, I'm going to sprinkle some spread, but I'm going to go heavy on props.
Rams plus 3.5. I think the Rams can win this game soundly.
Sure.
I'm probably going to take this money line too. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Last game that we're going to cover, the Jets and the 49ers. Aaron Rodgers back Monday Night Football. The Niners off of their Super Bowl loss. I think this is one of the most interesting games of the weekend that's going to be so boring to watch.
It will be 100%. Fifth lowest over under 43.5. It is a 4.5 point spread for the 49ers.
If I forced you
fourth highest spread.
If I forced you to pick the over under in this game, why are you picking the under?
I'm picking the under for the. Well, it goes with my pick a week, but basically, for me, it's going to be a low-scoring slug battle. Jets are not going to have Rodgers do too much, I feel, in this first week back.
I agree. I think it's going to be messy.
It's going to be messy. It's going to be a Brees game. Their defense stifles a lot of passing. I think it's just going to be two of the top 5 defenses in the league keeping the lid on. and we're just going to see a lot of run plays, a lot of flare outs. I think there's going to be a Debo, Brees, and McCaffrey game.
I think we get
maybe some Kittle for some power stuff.
I think it's going to be a slow game, not boring, just slow game.
It's going to be a chess match.
I'm taking the under as well at 43.5.
Yeah.
Don, question of the day.
Sure.
We're here. It's football time. It's Sunday morning. We're on the West Coast, so games start at 10 o'clock for us.
Yes.
You had a good Saturday. You slept in 11 o'clock. You wake up 7 o'clock. What do you do? What is your pre-NFL Sunday ritual? What do you need to do to get your head and body in the right shape for 12 hours of uninterrupted football?
For me, the couple biggest things I do right when you get up, you have to get your snack game aligned. You have to get so that way it's just quick grabs to the fridge, quick grabs
Snack
wherever
over
you're going.
Meal?
You prep your meals before game time.
Gotcha.
For me, it's get everything in place so you know where it is. You get your jersey set out for when you go shower, you clean up. It's just right there. You don't want to be panicked before any Sunday games.
The best part about Sunday night or Sunday morning is going through your fantasy lineups and just looking at all the injuries and tweaking everything. Not too much tinkering because you should have figured it out by Friday, but you're just doing last minute gut checks. All right, cool. I will go with Brian Robinson. All right, I'm going to do this and that. That is my favorite thing to do. I love getting a nice plate of Doritos and putting it right in front of me and just getting ready for that first burst.
Yeah, the octo box to hit.
But I need 3 slices of pizza in me, a couple beers from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock every Sunday. I only get it 17 times a year.
Time to get rowdy.
It's my favorite hour of my life. That witching hour for 18 weeks a year, I get it 18 times, is there was nothing you can do to get me to not watch football.
Yeah.
The witching hour is beautiful, and it's the best thing ever, and I it's my optimal joy time, and I'm so excited to experience it this Sunday with everybody.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
going to be great.
That was my question of the day. What was your favorite ritual? Pick of the week, Don.
Pick of the week for me, I'm taking Brock Purdy under 32.5 passing attempts in this game. Like I said earlier with the Jets, the Jets have boasted last season 4th fewest passing attempts against their defense.
It's a great bet.
And Brock Purdy was under this line 14 out of 15 games that he started last season. I just feel like this is going to be a very slow grind as Rodgers gets up to speed.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to try to start fast with Rodgers, and then they're going to very quickly dial it back.
Yeah, you don't want to overdo it when he's coming off his Achilles.
My pick of the week, and some people are going to be like, that's your pick. I'm going with the Panthers money line plus 175 against the Saints. I love the Panthers this year. I think they're a 6-win team with some spirit, with some spunk, with some offensive enlightenment. They are coming from the same tree as the Sean McVay, the Kyle Shanahan, the Miami Dolphins tree. Mm-hmm. They have enough weapons to get a little cute there. I think week 1, maybe they start off a little slow, but I think they can finish this game because, once again, I think the Saints suck.
I think the Panthers are being slept on in a lot of ways, considering Adam Thielen, even at 33 years old, was still the top 18 wide receiver in the league last season. It's a gross one because no one wanted to acknowledge it.
Do you think Adam Thielen can still be that this year?
I don't think he is, just due to Deontay Johnson being down there. I think volume is going to be his biggest issue, but he's still going to be a valuable weapon. You brought in now you have 2 great veterans to kind of guide this young quarterback through. You've upgraded your O-line a bit. You've made some moves on defense. I think we need to put Jeremy Chin in a bubble until game time just so we could have a full season for once.
Jeremy Chin's so electric.
He is amazing. Yeah. We need to bubble wrap this kid.
Electric City. He's awesome.
Oh my goodness. But I think Carolina is going to show what they can be. I think this is Bryce Young taking the step forward.
Might have been a team I should have brought up when I was the next team up situation.
I think they're still
Broncos
2-3 years away from that.
I don't know. I think next year they can.
Next year they're going to make noise. Yeah. The year after is okay, now there's expectations.
Parlay.
Yes.
Parlay time.
Parlay time.
I have cooked up something.
Sure.
It's my pray for the parlay this week.
Okay.
Do you have one? Or do you want to just ride with me?
I was going to adjust off you because I was curious where your picks were coming in.
I'm going with the Bengals money line against the
That feels so easy.
New England
That
Patriots.
feels nice.
It's plus 3. It's a minus 375.
Yeah, there's 6.5 favorites right now. It's wild.
I'm taking the Carolina Panthers plus 176.
Sure.
And I'm taking the Las Vegas Raiders plus 142 against the Chargers, who I don't think, even if we get a Justin Herbert, we're not getting healthy Justin Herbert against one of the better defensive lines in football. I think it's an ugly game, but it's in L.A., which is more of a home field advantage than anyone wants to admit. These Raider fans are rowdy. They're hungry. They want to beat these teams.
Yes.
Antonio Pierce has something to prove.
Yep.
I love this. I love this parlay. I'm addicted to it. You get plus 746. $100 makes you 746.
That's not bad. The only thing I would switch out the Raiders for the Jets under personally, but I'm liking everything else you have on there.
The Jets under would be
the Jets under is 43.5. It's just because I think the Raiders Chargers is going to be a gross game. I think it's going to be just tight and physical.
You'll lose a lot off that.
I figured.
Plus 550.
That's still comfortable for me. That's still comfortable for me.
That's still like, let's just say lunch bet.
Sure.
That's how I want to treat our parlays this year.
Yeah.
Let's not try to make it rich this year.
No,
Let's try to make our parlays something that you would spend on your budget for lunch, right?
Yeah.
You put it on this parlay, and now all of a sudden you can eat out for the week.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Parlays to me, when I build build my own personal ones, I do not want to swing home runs on parlays.
I mean,
because it's the
I'm not
odds
trying
of
to build 9-team parlay. I'm not trying to do that.
I'm not trying to do where I'm getting plus 700 odds and putting heavy money on it.
Yeah.
The odds of these hitting are low. I'd rather equal spread across my bets and then an extra parlay or two on some of my favorite ones, just to feel a little bit more excitement, just to get a little bit like, hey, this is going, like just to feel that little extra.
What I like to do is I like to go to like In-N-Out. Get whatever I'm going to spend on a combo there.
Sure.
Instead of eating there, eat at home. Take that budget, which is $11.
About
$11 right now on your parlay makes you $60.90.
Yeah, that's 3-4 lunches right there. That's not bad.
That's a good day.
That's a good week.
That's a good day. We're going to preach the lunch parlays now. This is going to be our thing. We're going to preach lunch parlays.
Sounds good.
Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode. That was episode 42 of Bust Picks. My name is Dio. That's Don. And remember,
Pray for the parlay.